everybody. Today we're here with William Barse with Doggone Express. So, Bill, thank you for coming. I know you drove a long way to sit with us today.
Well, I enjoyed the invitation, and we have some things in common, so I certainly wanted to meet with you.
Great. So tell me about Doggone Express.
Doggone Express was initially programmed to take dogs and place them in trailers that were air conditioned and have rescue organizations transport these dogs north into Canada, New England, the Midwest, where they don't have enough adoptable dogs. And Louisiana has a surplus of shelter dogs.
And tell me about those programs.
We have 4 programs, and we have unique names for them. The first one is From the Big House to Your House, which is our prison inmate training program.
Okay.
We have Pause for Change, which is a program that is designed to work with adjudicated youth who may be in the process of going the bad way in their life or possibly making the right decisions and turning around themselves, and we bring them to shelters and we train them to train dogs. That's called Pause for Change.
Okay.
The biggest program we have going right now is Companions for Life, and this is a program that we have volunteer trainers, including myself, who train veterans on dogs that come from the prison program to become service dogs for veterans who can't afford the real expensive business trained service dogs. We actually have inmates who have trained them in all the basics of the service dog industry, and then we match them with the veteran, and we have veterans training going on.
What gave you the idea to use inmates?
I was doing some adoptions, and many people would come up and say, oh, I'd love to have that dog, but I don't know how to train it. And my question back to them is, would you adopt this dog if the dog was trained? They go, oh yeah, sure.
Okay, and so how does the inmate training work? How does that program run?
We have a captive audience of potential trainers.
Right.
That's what it's designed to do, is help them modify their behavior if they want to be a part of this privileged program. Once they become part of our program, it's a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week relationship with a dog that in a period of time, and I usually don't give them an exact time when I'm going to pull the dog. So it may be they've had the dog for 4 months, and then the next day after training I may come in and say, I'm taking Kaiser, I'm taking Harry.
So they're fully responsible for their dog 24/7.
Correct.
Eat with them, sleep with them, train them, everything.
Well, they sleep under their cots and crates, because we do believe in crate training at night. They do have to maintain their coats and grooming and nails. They also work on sit, come, stay, recall, place, cover, block. We've actually trained dogs to selectively by name retrieve items. For instance, we can train a dog to get keys, and the dog will go over and bring you the keys.
So where do you get the dogs for the program?
The agreement we have with the Department of Corrections in the state of Louisiana specifies that these dogs have to come from kill shelters or from rescue organizations who've rescued dogs from kill shelters.
Okay.
We do not take dogs from individuals. We do not take dogs from breeders.
Okay. So you have a dog in the prison system being trained. You have a veteran that needs a dog. How do you know how to match them up and to continue the training from the basics to service dog?
The matching process is what I call V-Harmony, and the V standing for veteran. I have to know quite a bit about the dog's personality and what the dog can do and what the dog could learn to do. And then I also need to know from the veteran, who are almost always referred to us by doctors in the VA.
Right. So How do you get the funding to train these dogs specifically for that veteran or?
That's probably the most difficult aspect of what we do. We try to get corporate sponsorships for veterans. We solicit donations through our website, GoFundMe type programs. We also have a individual who helps us write grants to get grants, and we take individual donations.
Okay. And you said, now that's your Companions for Life. What was the youth program again?
That is called Pause,
Pause
for Change.
Okay.
Because what we're trying to do is use the word pause as P-A-W-S, but also hoping the youth will P-A-U-S-E
Right.
to change the direction that they may have been on course that would take them into the prison program.
Okay, and these are typically the youth that have been through the court system and...
We have several judges and judicial areas that think it's a wonderful program. We have the youth for 2 hours twice a week come in, and we work with them in general obedience with the dog in the shelter. So we bring the youth to the shelter. Actually, the agency or the parole officers or the court system brings them to the shelter. We don't transport them. We don't have the money or the facilities or the vehicles to do that. But they come for 2 hours twice a week. And at the end of their 8-week session, we evaluate them and we give them a report on how well they participated. And we give it to the judge or the court system, and hopefully it may make a difference in the child at that point, learning some patience, learning unconditional care and giving, and some responsibility.
Right. Now, your Doggone Express, the trailers, those are rentals, or you loan them, or how would one get a trailer or use one of them?
I would make them available to different organizations that are not-for-profit, that do transports, that have a system set up where they have recipients, organizations up north that will take the dogs. Unfortunately, we've spent so much time with the other programs that we've kind of diminished that and don't participate with the transports as much as we do with trying to reduce the populations in the shelters here locally through other means, through adoptions, through training. There's a lot of dogs that come from shelters that aren't trained are repeat offenders.
Yeah.
Somebody will adopt the dog, and the dog is a puller, a jumper, a chewer, has separation anxiety, and the next thing we know, the dog is back in the shelter again. So by working with inmates and training inmates not to be part of a recidivism problem, we also do the same for the dogs.
Right.
So we're saving paws and saving souls in our mission.
Good. Now, is there anything else that I didn't ask or didn't cover that you think is vital for our public to know?
I think everyone who may know someone that has a potential use of a service dog, whether it be a veteran, whether it be a family who has a child with some spectrum of autism, because we've been very successful right in the Baton Rouge area placing several dogs with families with a child who's had on some spectrum of autism a service dog that has helped that child cope, go forward in school, function as most teenagers need to do, and or veterans, and or anyone else who can't afford a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 service dog.
Okay. And typically they pay how much for a dog?
We can't sell the dogs. It's against our mission statement, but we do seek and ask for a donation that covers our basic, the dogs are all microchipped, they have their rabies shot, and they are spayed and neutered. And $150 really doesn't even cover that, let alone the training. So we ask for a donation which is tax deductible to help us continue with this program.
Again, I want to thank you for traveling. I know the weather out there today was absolutely horrid. So again, thank you for the time today.
Well, thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
the opportunity.
You're welcome. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for sticking around. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Dogs. Let's talk frank for a minute. We're going to discuss transportation. We've all seen the cute little Yorkie in her owner's lap as she's driving around, or dogs with their heads hanging out of the rear windows, or the 80-pound shepherd with his paws on the front seat armrest so he can look out of the windshield as he's cruising down the road. Well, from all of my research, all I can say is this is perfectly legal. But is it safe? I looked up Louisiana's laws pertaining to animal restraint in moving vehicles, and the only information I found is that you can get ticketed for distracted driving should an accident happen, or if you accidentally run that stop sign because you were trying to get that Yorkie out from under your feet. Here's a few facts you should be aware of when you consider traveling with your pets, whether by yourself or if you have the rest of your family in the vehicle with you. According to a survey by the American Automobile Association, over 80% of owners drive with their pets in the car. There are 43.3 million households with pets, so that's an impressive number of people on the road with dogs in the car. 84% of dog owners traveling with their dogs are not restraining them. Only 16% of people who transport their dogs use proper safety restraints. 60% of dog owners have driven while distracted by their pets as passengers. 52% of dog owners have petted their dogs while driving. 17% of drivers allow their dog to sit in their lap while they're driving. 13% of drivers admitted to giving food or treats to their dog while driving. And 4% of drivers acknowledge playing with their dogs while they're cruising down the road. We hear statistics all the time about impaired driver accidents, road rage, and children injured or killed because they were unrestrained in the moving vehicle. But where are the statistics regarding the number of animals killed or injured in vehicle accidents? According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there were 5,687,000 crashes in 2013, with 1,591,000 injuries and 32,719 fatalities. Of that, an estimated 172,000 children were injured in those traffic crashes. There's a good chance there were pets in these vehicles, since 34.4 million American households drive with their pets. Over 80% of those pets were likely unrestrained, which means, you better keep still, which means those pets were most likely injured and at the very minimum in shock. Really? Corinne wants a toy. If a car crashes at a speed of just 25 miles per hour, an unrestrained dog can be projected forward at a force equal to 40 times its weight. A large dog, say like Dalton here, a large dog like Corinne here, weighing 75 pounds, for example, can achieve an impact force of 3,000 pounds in a car crash, which could be a lethal blow for both the passenger and the pet. Even for smaller pets traveling at just 30 miles per hour, an unrestrained 10-pound dog will exert 300 pounds of pressure in an accident. Without a crash-tested safety restraint, that pint-sized pooch can injure passengers and become severely injured, if not killed, on impact. While lawmakers have been banning drivers from texting or using cell phones, many motorists are riding around with another dangerous risk: their dogs. Hawaii is the only state that specifically forbids drivers from operating a vehicle with a pet on their lap. But Oregon lawmakers are considering fining drivers who hold their pets behind the wheel. And some cities are starting to take action too. So please, don't let your beloved companion become an uncounted statistic. It only takes about 10 seconds to strap him or her in a seatbelt. That's 10 seconds that could save a lot of lives on that road. There's also travel crates that are mostly plastic that you can put in the bed of a truck or SUV and strap those in securely. And there are other seatbelt harnesses that you can look into as well. All of those are safer than just throwing the pooch in the car and taking off down the road. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with our training section. What are you doing? What are you doing? For today's training session, we're here with Frederick Taylor and his lovely little lady, Queen. So Frederick, tell me a little bit about Queen. We know she's a German Shepherd.
Queen,
how old is she?
She's 3 years old, and she loves to play and run around.
So what seems to be the biggest problem with her that you want to work with?
She likes to pull on when I walk her,
Uh-huh.
so it's hard to control where she goes. She pulls me.
She pulls you.
Yes.
Won't you take her for a walk for me? Let me see. Try to get her back this way. Queen, Queen! Queen, Queen! Where you going? Where you going, huh? Okay. And she does this on leash every time, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
You mind if I try it for a second?
No, ma'am.
Queen, come on. Come on. Yep. Queen, come here. Queen, 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 Queen. Come here. Queen, Queen. Good girl. Come here. Come on. Come on. Good girl. All right. So I have something. I don't know if you've ever used one or ever saw one or whatever. This is called a prong collar. It looks like a medieval training device and looks like absolute torture, and it's actually very controversial. There is a lot of people that don't like it because they think it's cruel and aversive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but what I want you to do, I'm gonna show you how to hook it up just real quick. Here's the loose end, and I always use the quick release version, and I'll explain why in a second. Take the loose end, and thread it through the hole there, and then here's your clip. Okay, this is why it's quick release. If Queen ever gets caught up on something and you need to hurry up and get it off, it's just a pinch. Okay, so now you hook that up. This is your collar. Okay, Queen, come. You want to feel what it feels like, what she's gonna feel? I'll put it on you. Now technically, let me run that through that way. All right. So this is how it's going to be on her. And she's going to have the leash attached right here. If we have to give her a correction, it's going to be a quick yank and release.
Yes, ma'am.
Quick yank and release.
No pain at all.
No pain at all. Now, the first time I have to do a leash correction with her, she may yelp because it's unfamiliar.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not because it hurts her. Queen, Queen. Now let's get you to sit still, baby girl. She'll be all right. Good girl. Hi, pretty girl. Good girl. Let me find the other end. Here we go. Okay, okay. We're not gonna do it. You don't want it? Huh? Look, we'll put it up. There you go. Look, I don't have it. I don't have it. Huh? See? Good girl. Good girl. Hey, baby. Good girl. Good girl. Hey. And some dogs are not going to do it. And that's absolutely fine. There are other ways. Queen, Queen. Queen, Queen, you good? Come here. Queen, come see. Come see. You still love me? You still love me? Huh? Good girl. Look, Queen. Look, Queen. Hey, Queen. Look at there. Haha. Look at you. Yep, you still love me. You taking treats. So, loose leash walking, which is different than a heel. Basically, we're just going to try to keep the leash loose. So, if we start walking and she tightens up, Queen, stop. We're just going to stop. Queen, call her back to you. And then she gets to walk when she's still. Come on. Stop. Queen, come here. Good girl. Come on. Come on. Stop. Queen, come here. Good girl. Come on. Queen, come here. Good girl. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Look at you. Good girl. Good girl. So every time she tightens up, just stop, call her back to you. That way you keep her attention.
Yes.
And then step forward again when she's by you. Let's see what she'll do with you.
Come on, Queen. Stop. Queen.
You got to keep talking to her.
Queen, come on, girl. Come on, Queen. Queen.
Much better than a while ago when she tried to run off.
Queen.
And she's done.
Queen.
She says, I'm done with that. Come here. You did good, girl. Come here. You did very good. You want some water? Huh? If you want, you could take her over there to get some water. In any training session, it's important not to stress out your dog. When they've had enough, they will give you a signal. They'll stop, they'll lay down, they'll shut down. That's when it's time to stop. Queen has said she's had enough for today, so we gave her some treats. She's over there getting some water, and she's looking for a few playmates to play with. The training method you use does depend on the dog. If the dog has a problem with one of the tools, there's a lot out there to choose from, so you don't have to be hard-headed and insist on that one tool that the dog doesn't like. She didn't like the prong. A lot of you may not like the prong. We didn't use the prong. She's a happy camper after all.